This is breaking news on WDSU.
I actually grew up down the street from Columbine High School. How does this kind of thing keep happening?
How does the happiest place in the world produce somebody so full of, hate and evil?
In breaking news this morning, 3 people are dead, 9 others injured after a shooting at a movie theater in Lafayette. Good morning, I'm Charles Divins.
And I'm Camille Whitworth. We now know more about those surviving victims for you this morning.
Yeah, but first we want to get you caught up on the latest developments. Now, so far, 3 people are dead, including the alleged gunman. Authorities say 9 others are being treated at hospitals in the area.
The tragic shooting, all of this happened outside of the Grand 16 on Johnson Street, the theater there. Let's go live now to WDSU News anchor Randy Russo. Randy, you've been outside that movie theater all morning long. Tell us what authorities are saying about the suspect. We do know we're expected to get an update around 6:30 or so.
That's right, Camille. Yeah, authorities are expected to kind of give us an update on what they found or maybe discovered through the course of their investigation. Still a really active scene right now. If you look behind me, still a lot of police officers right in front of the Grand Theater here along Johnston Street in Lafayette. They're inside kind of putting together evidence, processing the scene, trying to piece together the puzzle. This all started shortly around 7 o'clock last night during the 7 p.m. showing of the movie Trainwreck. Now we're told that the alleged gunman stood up from his seat in that theater. He was sitting in the front of the theater and then just began to open fire on people all around him, the people in front of him, to the side, to the back, eventually just hitting 11 people, killing 2 of them, including himself. Now, in the midst of all of this, luckily there were some first responders who were already here in this parking lot. They were able to respond quickly as people began running out. And we're beginning to hear more and more stories of heroism just emerging from this tragic situation. What was a typical Thursday in Lafayette quickly escalated into chaos after a gunman opened fire inside the Grand Theater.
The flashing light started to blow off, and then we heard this voice saying that this is an emergency situation and we have to leave now.
However, as hundreds ran for cover, stories of heroism are quickly emerging out of this tragedy, with many putting their own lives at risk to save others.
A couple of teachers were in that movie theater tonight. Both of them were shot. One of them was released tonight. Her friend literally jumped over her, and in her account actually saved her life.
Governor Bobby Jindal said that the teacher told him if it wasn't for those brave actions, she may have been shot in the head.
Now, both teachers ended up shot. The second one, the one whose life was saved, even though she was shot in the leg, she had the presence of mind to pull the fire alarm to help save other lives.
And as many were running from the bullets and the threat of being hit, first responders were running towards danger, not away from it.
The first responders, they were running in. I mean, our ambulances, all those individuals that were going in there because they simply wanted to do something that would save a human life. This was an ordinary evening, and I think y'all see that it became extraordinary pretty quickly.
And again, something that many of these people didn't anticipate to happen when they came to this movie theater last night. Again, 3 people dead, including the gunman who police say shot and killed himself in the midst of all of this as police officers were running into the building. 9 other individuals were taken to the hospital, 3 different area hospitals to be treated. Andy Cunningham has also been here on the scene with me pretty much throughout the night into these early morning hours. A lot of people sounding off about this. You know, we've heard from Governor Bobby Jindal. We've heard from our local authorities. Even the president is making his comments known.
That's right. We heard President Barack Obama was on Air Force One. He has now expressed his condolences, his thoughts and prayers for the people of Lafayette, but also the state of Louisiana. Amy Schumer, the creator and star of the film Trainwreck, has also reached out and shared her thoughts and prayers. But also, so many people have stories here, and so many people, inside, rushing out, running for their lives, as they said. And we actually spoke to one witness who was actually in the theater, and here's what he said at the time of the shooting.
We'll get to that thought in just a moment, Andy. But again, like you said, so many people sharing their stories. What did that guy have to say?
Well, I think he was, what we've heard a lot of people saying, shocked at first. As you mentioned earlier, they thought it could have been a joke. They really didn't know what was going on until more and more people started screaming, running for their lives. As we've been told, investigators have said the scene inside is horrific. As we know, there are still 2 bodies, including the gunman inside, and a female victim. So we know that her family probably is really not understanding what's going on, and they just want to know more, and so does everyone else at this point.
And you know, we heard from Governor Bobby Jindal earlier this evening as well, really saying, you know, what this community needs right now is prayers, and for us to open our arms up and really show our support to the community of Lafayette.
Yeah, and I think we all know, living here in Louisiana, born and raised you are, that this is a state, but especially this community knows how to come together, especially in Southeast Louisiana, during times of tragedy, and that's exactly what people are doing here. We've seen it again and again, people coming here just because they live here, just because they want to know what's going on and they want to see if they can help, and that's what we're seeing a lot of today. And again, as you said, stories of heroism are emerging now, and I think that is a testament to the people who live here and who work here.
Now, we mentioned earlier there are 9 victims who survived this attack, taken to 3 area hospitals around Lafayette. Our own Kelsey Davis is live at one of the hospitals where Governor Bobby Jindal visited a little earlier this morning. She's there kind of checking in with the patients, seeing the latest of their conditions. As we were told earlier in the evening, one of them in critical condition. So now we're going to send things over to Kelsey Davis and the latest on what's happening at one of those hospitals.
That's right, Randy. As you mentioned, those 9 surviving victims taken to 3 area hospitals, including here at Lafayette General. We're told that you just mentioned Governor Jindal was here just a few hours ago talking to victims and, of course, their loved ones, consoling them after this tragic incident happened here in the Lafayette area. In the meantime, investigators still trying to piece together exactly what happened during that tragic situation and trying to figure out what would drive a person to commit such a horrific crime in the first place. And that was actually the police chief just talking about how, or we did have we'll hear from the police chief later, actually, him talking about how at this point right now they believe that the suspected gunman was acting alone in this horrific crime. Again, that is still an ongoing investigation, though. You heard Randy and Andy talk about all that's going on at the scene still. Of course, as more details come available about the victims here, we're told again, one is in critical condition. He or she, in surgery this morning, and the other person we're told was released, but again, they're still victims being treated this morning. And as soon as we have more details about their conditions, we'll bring them to you here on WDSU and, of course, our website, wdsu.com. For now, reporting on your side from Lafayette General Hospital in Lafayette, Kelsey Davis, back to you in the studio.
It's all morning long. Of course, a shooting in central Louisiana occurred just days after the conviction of James Holmes.
You may recall that back in July of 2012, in the Aurora, Colorado shooting, that theater shooting left 12 people dead and 70 wounded. Holmes opened fire during a screening of The Dark Knight Rises using an AR-15 rifle, a 12-gauge shotgun, and at least one .40 caliber handgun. The shooting stopped with Holmes' arrest outside of the theater about 7 minutes after the first 911 calls were made to police. Phase 1 of sentencing for the man convicted in the shooting, James Holmes, has ended. The jury voted unanimously to weigh execution for Holmes. He's pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Defense attorneys expected to raise Holmes' mental illness.
And meanwhile, as Andy touched on earlier, the White House said early this morning that President Obama had been briefed on the shooting by his Homeland Security team while aboard Air Force One en route to Kenya. Now, the White House released this statement saying thoughts and prayers of everyone at the White House, including the President and the First Lady, are with the community of Lafayette, Louisiana, especially the families of those who were killed. And late Wednesday night, actress comedian Amy Schumer, the star of the movie Trainwreck, tweeted this right here. My heart is broken and all my thoughts and prayers are with everyone in Louisiana.
And our team coverage, of course, of this story continues on our website, wdsu.com. There you can see up-to-the-minute updates. We have tweets there for you. We have photos from the scene. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for our breaking news alerts.
And we are now turning to the other big story of this morning, weather. Of course, it is summertime, and meteorologist Damon England starts us off with our weather and traffic every 10 minutes. And Damon, can we expect the hot weather pattern to remain in place this weekend?
The hot weather pattern will remain in place pretty much this weekend. We may see more breaks on Saturday than any other time over from today through Wednesday or next week, because our rain chances on Saturday are a little bit higher. But when I say higher, I'm talking like 30% chance of rain. So most of us are going to stay dry today, tomorrow, Sunday, and through Wednesday. Here's a look at the radar picture right now. You can see we are rain-free north and south of the lake, the Mississippi Gulf Coast as well. Temperatures are in the upper 70s to the low 80s on the north shore of the Mississippi Gulf Coast and down here on the south shore as well. The lakefront right now is at 87 degrees. It is pretty warm out in that direction, and those temperatures are going to be rising pretty quickly later on this morning and into the afternoon as the sun rises. I'm thinking by 9 a.m. we're all somewhere in the mid to upper 80s. By noontime, most of us in the low 90s, some of us still in the upper 80s at that time. Your highs this afternoon will be in the mid to upper 90s. Only about a 10% chance of rainfall overall on the day today. A better chance of rainfall on the Mississippi Gulf Coast later on this afternoon and early evening. And the temperatures by 6 p.m. Still pretty warm in the upper 80s, maybe even some low 90s out there. The feels like temperatures will still be in the mid to upper 90s at that time. And if you're doing the River Shack 2-mile river run later on tonight at 7 p.m. Probably about 87 degrees when this run kicks off at 7 p.m. tonight under some mostly clear skies, warm and humid conditions as well. We're also following the traffic all across southeast Louisiana, and so far things are looking good, nice and quiet drive all across the area. This particular roadway, I think this is I-10 and Oak Harbor, is a nice clear ride. So if you're about to head out to your car, you're in great shape no matter where you're headed.
All right, Damon, and if you're just waking up with us this Friday morning, we're covering the tragedy in Lafayette. A lone gunman opens fire in a movie theater in Lafayette, Louisiana, killing 2 before taking his own life. What we know about those victims and all the very latest updates for you coming up after the break.